Have you seen the shadow people? That's what we're going to look into tonight. And no, I wasn't planning on doing this video. I just thought, what am I going to do a video on? And this is what I was led to. You know, many times we can be, sitting still or something, and then we see something move out of the corner of our eye, like some shadowy figure or something, and we turn and there's nothing there. Or you can even be walking and out of the corner of your eye you see like a shadow-like figure, and then you look and there's nothing there. But you know you saw something because it moved really fast. I've actually caught that on video now that I think about it. It was maybe a year or two ago when I was doing a live or something. I was taking pictures on my front porch that I walk on, and within one frame of my live photo, there was a shadow figure that appeared in one frame of 21 frames. And I know that they exist because I don't think that we're all just seeing something out of the corner of our eye, some kind of movement, some dark shadow moving out of the corner of our eye super fast, and it's nothing. I don't think it can be dismissed as nothing if it's global. If people from different walks of life from all over the world are seeing something, and or not, oftentimes some people are seeing them right there with their two eyes. They're seeing shadows, and they kind of look like our shadows, but we know that they're not because they're off at a distance or they're over there at the corner of our eye. Could it be that they are like interdimensional beings or something like that? Could it be that? I'm going to come over here because we're going to look into it. I don't plan on being on here too long, but I've thought about that before. I have 142 people. Well, welcome you all. Hello there, Apple Brooks, Honey, Susan B. Honey. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming on here because I think the shadow people, they do exist. And if you have seen shadow people, shadowy figures out of the corner of your eyes, put it in the comment section so other people can see that they're not alone in what they're seeing because they know they saw something. Let me come over here. Let me close this out. Let's see if we can find some images of these shadow people. Okay, let's see if we can find them really fast. Some images so we can see what some people have shared, because they're bound to be true. Otherwise, they wouldn't have something written about them. See, that's the thing. If something does not have any merit to it, you wouldn't find anything on the internet about it. You wouldn't even find a few of these things at all. But shadow person is the perception of a patch of a shadow as living humanoid figure and interpreted as the presence of a spirit or other entity by believers in the paranormal or supernatural. So it's a patch or a shadow of a living humanoid figure. To me, that's like an interdimensional being. That's what it sounds like to me, an interdimensional being. If you're just coming in, thank you for joining. I haven't talked about this before. If I have, it was very briefly one time. But our world is a little strange, and why wouldn't we have shadowy people, beings around? Okay, look at this. So let's see some images of them. So yeah, some of these look kind of scary. They got books on them. The shadow people. You'll see silhouettes of something, and some people like see this like dark figure or this like this. There have been people who have seen even great big gigantic shadowy beings in their yard, and they're so tall. They're taller than a 6 foot fence. This one person gave this description of what she saw when she looked in her backyard, because her dog was out there, and her dog was over there by the corner of the fence. He was crying or something. Her dog was crying, you all. And she thought, what is wrong? What is wrong with him? So she had to go out there and call him, but he didn't come. She had to go out there and pick up her dog. The dog was terrified. She picked up her dog, went into the house. Then she looked back out, and there in the corner of her yard behind her fence, there was a great big gigantic dark shadowy being with wings. All she could see was the shadow. It was the shadow, and it had great big wings. She said it looked like around 10 or 12 feet tall in the corner of her yard. And she goes, that's what her dog was afraid of. Her dog did not want to go out because it was that tall. She said, I think it's like a low lying, like a telephone line or something, that it reached all the way up to there, and it just stood there. And she looked at it from her window, and it stayed there for around a couple of hours, but it did not come into her yard because she prayed and said, you're not allowed in this yard. But she saw that, and her dog did not want to go out. Have Mothman? Well, that could quite possibly be. She was terrified, and she looked the next night too, to see if she could see them, and she didn't see them. But now she knows that when her dog was out there crying, more or less, it was terrified, and it was that shadowy being. There's also been reports of people seeing like these tall shadows in a corner of a room, a tall, like maybe 10-foot individual, just the figure right there in the corner of the room. So they exist. They do exist, because you cannot tell people who see big, dark, shadowy figures in a room, and they feel the energy from it, because it's not good energy. It's often a very negative energy. They see this spirit in the room, and that spirit sees them. This entity, this shadowy shadow person, sees them. You know, you can't, you don't want to play around with them. You don't, because they are living, and they are intelligent, and they're conscious of you. They know that you are watching them, because they're watching you, and I think they want to try to get your attention. Look at some of this right here, you all. These look like those, what do you call these things right here? It's one of those alien creatures. You see them crawling on the walls. What is that thing called right there? It looks like a spidery thing with all these like kind of like tentacles. It looks like an octopus too, you all. It really does. In this, whatever this is, it's a drawing. Somebody drew what they saw. Yes, they did. Oh my goodness gracious. The dogs, oh my gosh, you all. Yes, no, we don't want to see nothing happen to animals and stuff like this, but these shadowy figures, here's some images of them, and some of them are not pleasant at all. Well, this right here would be a common one. Look at that right there. You're not very pretty. Did you know that? In fact, you look kind of angry. You look kind of menacing. You look kind of evil. You really do. And whoever put your picture here, they portrayed you quite well. They did, because you don't look very nice at all. You don't. Your eyes, you're empty on the inside. They really are, if you ever look at somebody like that on the inside. And I don't want to look at them, but let's look at this. So, shadow people, the urban legend. So I don't think it's an urban legend. I think it's a real thing that happens. If we're going to look at some of these things right here, what people wrote about it, because they've documented it on here. So they do exist. Otherwise, why would they want to make up something? People from all over the world writing about what they saw, how they felt, if it wasn't true. They wouldn't, but it is true, and that's why they're writing about it, to document it, to share it with other people. There is something out there, shadowy like people, humanoid like spirits, beings, interdimensional beings, and all of that, you all. That's right. You see something out of the corner of your eye, you turn your head to look, and there's nothing there. And, or get this. So, and, or when you're, get this right here. So, when I used to work a second shift, at times I would go over to this one area of the work area, and I would stand there, and I would feel some presence right there next to me. You ever felt that presence right there next to you? And the presence that I always felt, it felt like a male-like entity, and it felt like it was very tall, probably around 7 or 8 feet tall. It wasn't nobody short. It was a very like tall. It felt like this tall being right next to me. You can feel their energy. And could you say that's a shadow person? It's certainly an entity there. If you're standing there and you are going like this and thinking, okay, somebody's there, because I didn't get a good feeling. I remember going to another part across this. It was in a certain area. It was always in a certain area that I went. I felt it again when I went to another area of that area, another different spot. It was standing right there. So yeah, even though you may not be able to see them with your eyes, you feel them right there watching you. You do. They're right there watching you. So sometimes, you can't see them. Oh my gosh. Many of us remember a monster under the bed from childhood, some shadow in a corner that shifted, or a fear of the dark that sometimes creeps up behind us in the late hours of the night. That's gross. It's natural for humans to fear darkness. After all, when else would our ancestors have been most vulnerable? Huddling around a fire, eyeing shapes in the forest, wondering if a predator would nab us and drag us away, waiting for a parental figure to say everything is okay. Such fears from the crooks of the shadow people, urban legend. The central story is simple, and it may vary a bit from person to person, but generally contains the same elements. It's late at night. You're laying in the bed on the verge of sleep. You wake up in the middle of the night, and there's a human-shaped, shadowy silhouette nearby. A horror maid. Some folks describe seeing glowing eyes or teeth. Have you all seen any glowing eyes or teeth? I haven't. And I don't think I want to. I really don't. Y'all hit that like button. So whatever actually is going on, sometimes they're entities, apparitions, illusions. They appear right next to someone's bed and they just stare down at them. Some people have described more shapeless shadow masses, and some have seen such shapes. That's like a tongue twister. Some have seen such shapes while walking around at night. Suddenly there's a sense of being watched, as all of us have doubtlessly felt, and then our attuned senses start scouring the environments for, oh my gosh, your bed shakes. Oh no, that's not good. We start scanning Sukabi, Unkabi, and Hatman. I've never heard of them. Have you heard of Sukabi? Am I saying that right? Sakabe, Ukubai, and Hatmen. That sounds like some type of a being is what it sounds like. Hello, you all. Stefan, yeah, demons exist. They really do, and so do angels. Angels exist. Guardian angels, benevolent beings exist, and they're much more powerful. They are. And you know what? They know it. So let's look at this. Shadow people often come up in conversations about disturbing urban legends, like black-eyed children who show up at your door and ask to come inside, or tales of Hatmen, a kind of a shadow man variation that looks like it's wearing an old style FBI. Hey, that's the man in black. Okay, the Hatman is like the man in black. That's what that sounds like. And that's not a legend or like some kind of make-believe something. Those men exist. In nearly all cases, people describe an intense night cosmic terror and ability to move. Yeah, I remember laying under my covers when I was little. You ever do that? You lay under your covers. You cover your head. You don't even want to breathe because you think they might see you breathing. Like, I've done that before, and I think even when I got older, laying under there with the cover all the way up, I don't want to breathe because I don't want them seeing me breathing, whoever they were. It didn't happen often, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, but I do remember that I didn't even want to breathe at all. I remember having to pray at times too. I just say the name of Jesus over and over and over and over. And then whatever that like entity or something that would come around, if I felt scared, it would leave. But you all, if you have not experienced that, yeah, it's real. It is real. These beings are real, and they prey on your fear. They really do. Let's look at this, you all. So the internet makes it easy for people to be influenced by information. We all know it's easy for humans to fall prey to absurd beliefs. Wrong. But while some shadow people cases are likely pleas for attention, is it actually possible that thousands of people are experiencing the same hallucination? No, it's not. One clue is in a commodity shared across encounters on quartz. The fear sucked the breath from Brown's chest, rendering him mute and immobile. At this, clever readers might recall Henry Fussel's well-known 18th century painting of a little goblin sitting on a woman's chest while she sleeps. It was called The Nightmare, and it turns out all such stories might be descriptions of what's called sleep paralysis. Oh, wow. Well, I didn't know that. Why would they even make a picture like that, you all? That's kind of scary. I wouldn't want to see one of them. I really wouldn't, you all. Yeah, that's right. Sleep paralysis and hallucinations? No. People are not hallucinating, but they are experiencing sleep paralysis where they cannot even move. They cannot even move. Look at this. Published in a paper in 2016, going into details about the relationship between sleep paralysis and tales like those of succubi and incubi. REM sleep is the stage of sleep where people dream, which paralyzes the body. Well, I've never heard it described like that before. Have you all? That if you're in your REM sleep, then your body is paralyzed. Well, I don't think you can just make it that simple. I really don't. When dreaming, making it impossible for someone to flail around aside from slight twitches and fluttering eyelids. No, because some people sleepwalk and stuff like that. Some people actually are encountering interdimensional beings who are coming at them in their sleep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sleep paralysis occurs when the motor neurons get switched off and someone is actually conscious, which essentially transforms dreams into hallucinations. People are trapped in a weird multi-sensory, half asleep, half awake state while still dreaming. See, this is one person's thing. It could account not just for shadow people, but hag legends, all of this kind of stuff. Scientists say there's a stimulation in a certain region of the brain, in the temporal junction, left temporal junction, that can actually induce hallucinations of not just a chest-crushing entity, but shadowy humanoid specifically. How come? How come can it do that? They say it's just part of the brain is responsible for the aforementioned universe feeling of being followed or watched. Looks like our nightmares might be in our heads after all. See, look how this is written with this individual. So this person clearly is not in tune with the spiritual world, but I'm going to put that here anyhow. And since I read from it, I'm going to stick it over here, you all, so you can look into it. It's not that, I don't really like that style of writing because it doesn't resonate with my being. That individual doesn't, but I'm going to put it in there. So Shadow People Archives. This is, I went somewhere. Where did I go? Let me see. Where did I go, you ask? I found this really good one over here. This person had wrote about the shadow people, and now I can't find it. And what if it ain't meant for me to find it? Really, what if it isn't? What are shadow people? Okay, 2015. 2015. Shadow people are said to move quickly and often vanish when you look at them, and many times you can only catch their movement out of the corner of your eye. And some people say shadow people wear clothing, while others say they see only a black shape without details. Some claim to see shadow people wearing hats, and others have claimed to see fiery red eyes. Now, one public place where shadow people are often seen is like Boot Hill Cemetery in Tombstone, Arizona. Several photos and even a video of shadow people have been taken there. It's interesting to note that shadow people have been seen by different people for 100 years or more. The vast history makes it clear that these people have been seeing something. And trauma seems to play an important part in the shadow people's visibility. In almost every case where shadow people are seen, it can be proved that a person died in the area, usually, oh my gosh, in a violent moment. Wow. They've been seen all over the world by many people. See, this article has a different flow to it because this article is really, I'm speaking about it from as it being true. Instead of just being, well, it's not real, it's just all in someone's mind. This one's taking it seriously, so I can resonate with this one. I really can. They say that they appear to be ghosts, but are different from residual or intelligent hauntings. Well, I've never heard of a residual haunting or an intelligent haunting. This person has witnessed shadow people on many different occasions over the years in their mother's house. There was and is a shadow person or entity that has been there for quite a few years now. It dwells in her bedroom, and many different visitors have seen it. It looks like the shadow of a man, and you can see him walking back and forth in front of the dresser in the bedroom. Sometimes you can clearly hear the sound of walking, while at other times you will only see the shadow man. So let me come over here, you all. So how many of you've seen that at one point or time in your life, somewhere you've been or you've heard it, someone walking at night in the house? I know I heard it when we lived in the projects. I think I was a teenager, and I had a bedroom upstairs. And then we'd have to go all the way downstairs. That's where would be the kitchen, the living room. And there was another bedroom downstairs too. But you could hear someone walking down the hall, and it sounded like they were dragging their house shoes on the floor, back and forth and back and forth. And I remember telling my mom that one day, and I remember telling the neighbors behind me that I heard somebody walking back and forth on that floor, and it sounded like they were in house shoes. And they said, oh, well, there was a lady, an old lady who lived in the house before you all moved in, and she died in that living room. And that was like, oh my gosh, you all, that was thinking, oh wow. I'm thinking maybe that was her spirit in there, but it was, she was walking back and forth in there with her house shoes. You could hear it back and forth and back and forth, just like that. Yeah. That's right. So yeah, you all, this is the shadow people. They are real, and sometimes I really think, well, what if it's people who are stuck in between dimensions? They could be stuck in between dimensions is what they could be. They can't cross over for some strange reason. The shadow man in his mother's bedroom is about 6 feet tall, wearing clothes and a hat. Several people have tried to talk to the shadow person, but he's never spoken or made any sound other than the sound of him walking. Some people think shadow people are spirits of a deceased person trapped here on earth and unable to move on. And if you are bothered by one, encourage it to look for, and move into the light. However, this person has tried with the shadow man in their mom's bedroom, and he's still there. It's interesting to note that on the hilltop across from my mom's house is an American Indian graveyard. Other strange things happen in my mom's house. Items will move on their own. The lights in the bedroom will turn on and off, and you hear a loud motor running that is not there. Sometimes you will feel as if something or someone has brushed past you. Where information was available, it has been found that shadow people died. Oh, I don't want to say it. Maybe they were so fast and they didn't, whatever. Yeah, you are. So, shadow people, there's gobs of them. Is your house haunted? No, I don't want my house to be haunted, I don't. And I don't even like talking about shadow people. Their dark humanoid shadow beings have been seen way back in history by more and more people. They're seen about jerky movements. You notice them quickly and they vanish into the ceiling or the wall. All of that, you all. America, all the way back in time of the Cherokee Indian Native Americans. Shadow man in location where they just move. Friendly female ghost. What a shadow man looks like. So there's many. Let me put this in here if you want to look at that, because I think I'm done looking at the shadow man. I really am, because I don't really like topics like this. I don't, but that's what I was focusing on, is the shadow people, and they do exist. We've seen them. There is another realm. There is. I'm not going to say that there isn't another realm. There is another realm. There's another realm beside. Well, I just heard somebody shoot us, you know what, outside. Another realm by this realm right here. What else was I going to say? Shadow people. Yeah. I know what I was going to say. I had this one friend, and I went to his house, and he had a party. His friends were here. These girls were there and stuff like that. And I was talking to the young girls, and they said that back there in our uncle's room, there's a ghost back there. There's a ghost back there, and they won't leave. I said, well, how do you know? She said, because in that room back there, this woman, her house caught on fire, and her baby and her died back there in that room, and it was haunted. And they were scared to sleep back there when they would go spend the night. They were scared to go back in that room. And I said, really? So I had my rods with me. I have like dowsing rods, you all, because I can find energy. I can find energy. So I took them back there, and I said, is there any spirit in this room? And the rods went like this for yes, crossing like that widely. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't. I asked, why are you still here? Don't you want to leave? And it said no. It was still there, and those girls were in the room with me. I said, well, I said, your baby is no longer here. It's no longer here. I said, your baby has moved on. It's went to heaven. I said, you need to move on too. Don't you want to go see your baby? And you all may not agree with me. You're not supposed to be talking to deceased beings, Gina. Well, I did. I said, don't you want to go? I said, there's nothing for you here. You should probably go now, because there's no reason for you to stay. And I encouraged it to go. I did. That being, that woman's spirit that was in that room. And I said, it's okay. You need to go because you're scaring the people in this house. And I know you don't want to scare people. That's what I said. I know you don't want to. And I said, did you know that you were scaring them? And, the rods crossed like that. She said, no. I said, well, you are. I said, so you probably should go. You should go home. You should go be with your baby because your baby's in heaven now. You should go see your baby. And I said, it's okay. And I said, you really need to leave now. And it left. And then I took my rods and I said, now let's see if she's still here. And I said, is there any spirit in this room, any negative energy or anything? And they said no. So I went back the next time. I said, I'm going to go check in that room again just to see if there's any spirit in that room. Because they said they don't think she was there anymore. So I went in there and I got my rods out. There was nothing there. And ever since that day, ever since right now, to my knowledge, it never did return back. It left. I guess it was waiting for someone to tell them, it's okay, you need to go. You can go, it's okay. Yeah. And yeah, you all. And I don't know if any of you have done something like that. I'm sure a lot of people have. They have. Maybe not a lot of people. Maybe a lot of people didn't know I did something like that. Well, I did. I like to investigate stuff. Yeah. So they, yeah. I don't know what that means. Rods defy spirits. What's defy mean? Defy something. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just leave and be very peaceful. She wasn't a harmful or nothing. It was not a evil spirit or whatever. It's just like somebody was like couldn't move beyond it. Yeah. Um, my voice is off again. They said my voice was off again during my live stream outside today. They said your voice is not matching up. So they must have a delay going on. Yeah. I was waiting. Somebody said rods defy spirits. My voice is echoing again, Applebrooks, Susan B. If my voice is echoing again, something has got into my system and messed up my audio. So we're going to go look. If I could let you see my screen, I'm going to stay right here and I'm going to see what they've done to my audio. I'm going to remove it and it's going to get quiet for a minute, but I'm going to remove my audio. Okay, I've deleted my audio and I brought it back. Is my voice still echoing? Um, Tell me if it got fixed. Is it still echoing? It's not echoing now. That's good. I'm going to go to the split screen, so you're going to see the OBS Studio. It's going to show like that multiple screens. So I'm going to go to the screen and me. Is it echoing over here to the screen and me? I've got it right here. Tell me if it's echoing. Okay, it's no echo. What about the screen right here? Yeah. It's fixed. so this is fixed. If I go over here, let me come right here. Something got in there and it changed my sound, and I had to delete my audio input, my microphone, and reinstall it is what I had to do. Yes, we're in the twilight zone, you all. We are. It's because of my subject matter, talking about the paranormal. The paranormal is getting into this these electronic devices. Yeah, that's what it is. You don't want to play around with stuff like that. Absolutely not. You all do not want to. Yeah, that's wonderful, you all. So now I know that if it's ever echoing, I know to look here at the live chat and then delete my audio input and reinstall my audio input because they change it on me. We are in the twilight zone, you all. We are. Absolutely, we are. Yeah. So I don't dab in that stuff at all. No, I don't play around with that. That is the darkness is nothing to play around with, you all. It isn't. The darkness is powerful, and the light is more powerful. The light is an energy, a power to be reckoned with. It is, and the dark knows. And yeah, it reminds me of this biblical account. It's when these men, these disciples or somebody, they went out and they tried to cast out demons in the name of Jesus. And they found these people, and the demons about tore them to pieces, is what happened. I think that's what it said. The demons about tore them to pieces. You ever hear about that? It's a story in the Bible. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah, they about tore them to pieces. They couldn't cast out the demons. That's what it was. They could not do it. Look at this. So the demons are, look at this biblical account right here. While Jesus took Peter, James, and John to a mountain to reveal his glory, a man brings his demon-possessed son to the rest of the disciples. The disciples fail. So the man approaches Jesus, and Jesus easily casts it out of the boy. But why couldn't the disciples cast out the demon? Jesus rebuked the demon, and immediately it came out of the child, and he was healed. The miracle itself is described only briefly. Rebuked is the same word reacted to his first prediction of his death. He rebuked the sea in Matthew. Yeah, so they could not do it. They had cast out demons before, now they cannot. It says perhaps they tried various tactics to cast out the demon and it failed. So people have demons in them. They do, you all. Demonic spirits taking over bodies is what it has. Demonic spirits taking over bodies, and you have shadow people. Then you have angels. You do. You have angels. That's right, you all. We do. We have angels. That's right. Yeah. Shadow people are bad. Well, yeah, if they're in the shadows, I don't think that they have a person's best interests in heart, because they need to be brought out into the light. They really do. Well, that's right. There are a lot of angels on the earth right now. There really are. And there's probably a lot of demons. Well, there is a lot of demons. There is a battle taking place in The spiritual realms, you all, there really is. That's right. Um, yeah. Let's see what's happening. Portals in your dreams. Uh, you had a brush with a shadow person the other day. You cut them out of the corner of your eye, and as you walked through your living room, rods work for you, Gina. Um, I made copper rods. I made copper rods out of copper tubing from the refrigerator when we first moved here. Had refrigerator lines. They were copper. And my friend said, Gina, could you bring your rods? I said, what are rods? I said, I don't know what rods are because I hadn't known what it was because she wanted me to look for water on her property. She wanted me to look for her ley lines on her property. I said, well, I don't know what they are and how do you make them? So I looked it up. I made some and I went on her property and I found the water and I found the ley lines, main geopathic stress lines that were on her property. And I moved, she had three of them going in her house and I moved them all out of her house um, because it's not supposed to be good for you if you have stress lines running where you sleep. It could cause an increase in cancer in your brain and other ailments. You can get sick from these geopathic uh, stress lines that are there. Yeah. Um, you got, yeah, you got copper rods. Wrap them around your crystals. Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. Um, that's okay, you all. That's quite all right. We got this. Copper is $3 a pound. Well, that's not too bad at all, really. It is not. No. So we were talking about shadow people, and then talking about copper rods, ley lines. But you all, there's a lot going on in this world. There really is. Um, yeah. Sleep with your head toward the north. The North Pole energy is good for you. I've never heard of that. That's really interesting. Thank you. Um, shadow people. Um, you got zombies. Yeah. That's all right, you all. I am going to go. I am. No, you do not want to play around with beings, demonic beings, the paranormal. You don't. Unless you know what you're doing. Because they'll know that paranormal, that spiritual world will know if you know what you're doing or you don't. Uh, and they'll suck you right in. They will. But that world is real. The spiritual realm is real. The paranormal is real. The shadow people, the interdimensional beings, the aliens, the demons, the angels, benevolent beings. The good is real, just as real as the bad, if not more real. And the good never dies. It doesn't. It's been here long before the darkness. The light has been here long before the darkness has. Um, they used to be one. Both of them used to be one. And then split right in two. That's okay, you all. Perhaps one day they'll become one again. They will. That would be great if they became one again. It would. So with that being said, I am going to go. Thank you all for coming on here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, moderators. And our world is changing. And yes, there is warfare being waged against humanity and the animals and Earth itself and all kinds of stuff. It is. To say that there isn't any type of war that is being waged is to be in denial. It is. But you've got to stay strong on the inside. You do. You've got to build up your spirit to keep your strength up. Just stay aware of what's happening. Don't allow yourself to go into a downward spiral or anything like that. Just be prepared and be ready. So with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, you all, and don't ever give up. Don't. No matter what comes your way, don't give up. Just stay the course to your journey's end. It will be worth it. It will. Love you.